G'day guys, this particular video is to talk about Net Promoter Score or NPS. A lot of organizations that you guys are in at the moment use NPS to measure customer loyalty, and that's perfectly fine. This particular video is not to talk about the pros and cons of NPS, is to actually give you some tips on how to maximize the return on investment for the NPS being implemented in your organization. Now, the reason why we made this video is because we've been into quite a few of our clients who have NPS as their singular form of understanding customer sentiments and also looking at customer loyalty. And we realized that even with that single measure, it's not used effectively enough for them to gain any form of return on investment on that piece. Now, it goes on from just looking at the scores and not really delving into the details behind what the customers have said to using it in a more effective manner. So here are 3 tips that we would like to share, and some of you guys might find this quite useful. Number 1, understand why promoters bought for you in the first place. Now, at one particular point in time, a customer, in this case your promoters, bought your product or service. And the reason why they did that is because there was an alignment in the needs in terms of what your product can provide to them, and also some element of alignment to the value drivers. And through the experience of purchasing or using your brand or product, they found it quite a good experience, enough for them to likelihood for them to recommend. This is actually a good way for you to gauge what strengths your product and services have that's actually resonating with certain customer base that's likely to recommend your product and services. So understanding that the score helps you identify the particular customers, the verbatims or the feedback that they've provided you, looking at certain themes. Once you extract that, you can find common patterns that you can use for potentially future marketing purposes or highlighting strengths on certain collateral of yours, just to entice more people to come on board. Number 2, provide the right ecosystem or environment for your promoters to promote your product. Here's the thing, you don't know a customer is a promoter until they actually told you from the NPS survey. Now, at that point in time, the customer has assessed the product and or service that they've received from you was good enough for them to go, I had a great experience, I'm likely to recommend. It is optimal at that point in time, or as close as possible to that point in time, that you provide the means for them to promote. Now, the thing is, if you don't capitalize on that opportunity, and as time passes and time goes on, their perception may change. And the thing is, in order for them to promote your brand and product and services, there are 2 key things that needs to occur. Number 1, there needs to be a trigger for them to go, ooh, and you know what? I'm having a conversation with someone. They mentioned something, and it triggered my thought about that particular product and service. And the second one is context. That even though the trigger has come in, it might not be the right time for them to talk about that particular your product and service, or not the right context in order to promote your brand and services. Those 2 things are very, very difficult to control unless your organization, unless you create an environment. So if, for example, you provide an environment where you bring in some of your top promoters to talk at an event where potential customers are around, that is creating an environment for them to promote your product. But it doesn't need to be that complex. Even just acknowledging that the person has subscribed to your product or service, or acknowledging that the person has purchased your product, and providing them with the means to promote your product or service on social media, and then maybe providing them with a platform in order for them to provide testimonials. These are the kind of things that you need to enable your promoters to promote your brand. And lastly, number 3, supplement NPS with other metrics and measures within the organization to provide the full picture. What I mean by that is, we've seen a lot of clients measuring their NPS. The scores go from plus 50 to plus 55 to plus 60 to minus 40, well, not minus 40, reduction of 10, so plus 40. And they use those trends to really give an idea of what has shifted in terms of customers' loyalty. that only gives you the numerical representation of your customer sentiment or your customers' likelihood to recommend or the loyalty. It doesn't actually tell you the complete picture. And by what I mean by that is, it is actually recommended in your NPS survey to ask your customers if they can provide you with feedback about how they can improve, how your organization can improve. And here's the thing, that verbatim should definitely be part and partial of what you display and make visible to your organization. Conduct some thematic sequencing on it. Understand some of the common patterns coming up from what customers are saying from all spectrums of the NPS. And then overlay that on your customer journey map to give the reader context behind the numbers. Second thing we would definitely like to recommend, and we definitely do, we not only do recommend this, we also do that for certain clients, is to look at all the other data points that can make up and to tell the story of that particular score at that point in time in the customer's journey even better. What I mean by that is, if there's a particular part in the journey where the NPS is quite high, it means that there's a great experience and there's a high likelihood for a customer to recommend that part of the journey to their friends and family. You look at other supplementary measurements and metrics, such as what are the measures that the operations team are measuring at that point in time, and what are the marketing teams doing at that point in time, sales team, accounts team, operations team. It gives you a context about how that score is performing within the organization itself. So one spectrum is about what the customers are saying, so it's supplementing the score, and the secondary is what the organization is doing to contribute to that score. The reason why that's important is because it not only gives context about how that score is from the customer's viewpoint, but also allows you to delve into which part of the business is actually enabling a great experience to the customer, or vice versa, in terms of if it's a bad experience, who is actually, which department has the greatest contributing factor. So those are the 3 tips we like to share in this new year for any of you guys implementing NPS. And we're going to be doing a few more of these videos in the future. So for now, thanks for your time. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and we'll be releasing very, very soon. Take care. Cheers.